Charley Harper was an American illustrator. An illustrator is an artist that creates pictures for prints, posters, and illustrations. Growing up on a farm influenced his art and love of wildlife. He said when he looked at wildlife, he didn't see feathers and fur, but exciting shapes, color combinations, patterns, and texture. We're going to first start with our background for our cardinals. You can place your paper vertically or horizontally. You have the choice. Next, we're going to make little snow using a Q-tip and some white paint. We're going to stamp and lift. You're going to work from the top of your paper all the way down to the bottom, stamping and lifting. I don't have to reload my Q-tip every time. Once you're done, you can throw out your paper and your Q-tip and go place your background on the drawing. Next is to do our texture for our birch trees. If you had a background that you set up vertically, you're going to do your tree texture vertically. If it was horizontally, you'll do it horizontally. I did mine vertically. Gonna dip my cardboard. I'm holding it with my thumb on one side, fingers on the other to give it durability. I dip it in the paint, I tap it off on the side. I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to drag my cardboard across my page. I might need to reload. Make sure I tap so I don't have too much paint. If I have too much paint, it will look like that, which might be okay, but when you get towards the end, it might be too much in general. So I press down, drag. Press down, drag. Using my helper hand to hold my paper. Once I'm done with my texture, I can throw out my cardboard and paint and place my art in the dryer. All right, let's create our birds. We have our red paper. We're going to use simple shapes to create our birds, like a teardrop shape. See how it starts at a point and comes down to a curve? Sometimes we just have these half circles. And then our tails, we can use triangles. And for our wings, crescent shapes. So those are the shapes we'll be using. Get your red paper. Now, instead of starting right in the center for my bird body, I'm going to start over to one of the corners inside so I don't waste paper. I'm going to start at the top, come down and do my teardrop shape. Make it about as big as your hand. You don't want something so small because it will be hard to add the details for your bird. If you want to do a bird flying through the air, we can do our half circle. And maybe a smaller teardrop because I like variety, different sizes, different shapes. We'll get our tails going. I need a tail for this one, so I'm going to use a long triangle. Maybe I'll use a shorter triangle for this one and a smaller one for this one. For this one, I'm going to have his arm or his wings coming out like that in crescent shapes. So like an upside down U. Start at the point and do another one. 2 wings. This one I'll just have the wing on the side. So we'll move to this one. This one I'll do 2 more crescents. We'll go ahead and cut them out. So my tail will go right behind it. I can get my glue stick. Put a little glue on the end. Overlap the body. Now we'll cut the two wings out. I think I need to move this tail up a little bit. There we go. We'll add our wings, put a little glue underneath, or you could have your wings on top. If you're doing that, you would have it like this. Move to the next bird. I'll have the tail on top. The head will go right there. My last bird. We have our three birds. Now we'll do the bird faces. So on Charlie Harper's birds, his beak is an upside down U with a V inside. So when we go to do his beak here, I have to see how big this is. I'm going to do an upside down U with a V. And if you would rather just do a couple triangles for your beak, you can do that too. This is just one way to do. This one's smaller, so I need to make the beak smaller. This one is going sideways, so if you want to do just a triangle on that, you can. Go ahead and glue these down. Make sure you put the glue on the back of the small piece. Now we're going to go ahead and make the mask, our cardinal mask. So we'll take our marker, we're going to do a straight line like this. come down like that. And then we can color around like that. Oop. So here's the top of my U. I cut across. And now I'm going to bring the U down. Very carefully, use your Sharpie to color on top. There's one. Straight line. U. All the way to the yellow. On the sideways one, we're just going to do a curved line like this. Go ahead and make our trees. Here's our birch texture. I'm going to turn this over to draw my trees. I'm going to have some vertical lines. And come up from the bottom. We can do straight trees like that. My next tree, maybe I want to have a branch in there. I'll draw it straight, and then I'll come down and I'll stop, and I'll do this diagonal line. So this branch will go right off the page. I'll bring it down. Now this line's up here, and I'm going to come to the bottom. Maybe you want another one with another branch. I think I'll go straight on this side. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. As I cut them out, I'll put them in my background to see how it's looking. Make sure you save your scraps in case you want to add any extra branches. That look good over there. I think I'll have those two closer together. I have a little extra room here. I might want to investigate maybe having another branch. I'm going to take this one and just cut it to a point. I can add that like that. All right, we'll go ahead and glue these down. Make sure you line up the tree trunk to the top of the paper. Going to do this one quickly so I can get it tucked under my tree trunk before it dries. Now we can figure out the composition of our birds. How do you want them to go? I can even go off the page a little if I like. I think I like this one over here. When you're ready, and you like how you set up your birds and they look interesting, they're not all in a straight line, we can glue them to our background. Oop, my paper was still wet. Yours will be dry. Have his tail go off the page. Go ahead and flip it over and just make sure everything's glued to the paper, the background. And there are our winter cardinals inspired by artist Charley Harper.